We haven't had this event in 4 years, which is amazing. I keep thinking it was 3 years, but actually have an invitation and we will enjoy our meeting. First of all, we want everyone to recognize our sponsors. Without them, this event couldn't be possible, and very generous. Just Lee County, it really always amazes me and steps up to the plate. So thank all the sponsors, and really appreciate it. Let's give everybody a round of applause. I also want to thank Greg Gale and his guests for the music this evening. And there's some flyers around. March 24th, next Friday, 7:30 p.m. at the Temple Theater, it will be the Heart of Carolina Jazz Orchestra. So if you don't have plans for next Friday, or if you do have plans, cancel it. And go to the Temple Theater.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I also want to thank Terry McMILLIan. Terry's around here somewhere, but he is videoing the program tonight, and he will post a link where if you want to watch the highlights on YouTube. Terry's always very generous. He's donating his services tonight. So Terry McMILLIan, Brick Capital Video. So thank you, Terry, wherever you are. Also want to thank Floral Designs by Eddie for the centerpieces on all the tables. They were donated tonight, so thank you. Thanks for all of this. We give you thanks. Amen. Okay, so enjoy your meal, and we will get the program started probably in about 30 minutes. Have a good evening.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed your meal tonight. Thank you all for coming to the Man and Woman of the Year Award. I'm Bob Joyce. I'm the MC for this short part of the program. First, I want to thank Greg Gelb for the music tonight. Many of us know Greg, and we know that he's a great jazz musician. Greg also, I want to let you know, teaches the Triangle Youth Jazz Ensemble, and they are 5-time finalists at Lincoln Center's Ellington competition. So we just want to have a round of applause for Greg. Thank you. And I also want to thank Kate Woods and the folks at Carolina Trace for hosting us tonight. Thank you for this great meal. Kate's in the back. Great. Thanks, Kate. I'd like to introduce Natalie Jenkins Peel. Natalie is the Director of Community Leadership for the Foundation, and we're so happy to have her. She's from Elizabeth City. You know, everybody in the South wants to know where you're from and who are your people. So she's from Elizabeth City, and she went to Meredith University, and she's the mom of 3, and we're happy to have her in Lee County tonight. Please welcome Natalie Jenkins Peel.
Thank you, Bob, and it's Meredith College, especially since I'm sitting with another Meredith alumni. What a wonderful event. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a delightful evening. Thank you to David Spivey and the board of the Lee County Community Foundation for their incredible work in hosting tonight's event. If you're a member of the Lee County Community Foundation board, would you please stand? Dun, dun, dun. This is a wonderful board of dedicated, motivated, compassionate people that you have here in Lee County, and it is an honor to work with them. So as Bob shared, my name is Natalie Peel, and I serve as the Director of the Community Leadership for the North Carolina Community Foundation. I'm joined tonight by my colleagues, Jake Pope, who is the Development Officer serving the central part of our state, and Jan Pender, who is the Donor Engagement Officer serving the central part of our state. And Don Neighbors, who was supposed to be speaking tonight, who has fallen ill, is the Community Leadership Officer and has the pleasure of working with the Lee County Community Foundation Board, and she sends her sincere apologies for not being here. On behalf of NCCF, our President and CEO, Jennifer Tully-Whiteside, and our statewide board of directors, which I want to acknowledge Jan Hayes, is a member of our statewide board and is also the co-chair of our affiliate impact committee, which I have the pleasure of working with. Yes. So allow me to welcome you all here this evening and to congratulate Nancy and Donald on their well-deserved honors. And this is the first time this board has been able to have the event since COVID. And it was, in fact, the day of when the world shut down. So I'm so glad to have everyone back here tonight. The North Carolina Community Foundation, as some of you may not know, was founded in 1988. We are headquartered in Raleigh, and we are the only statewide community foundation. We have active boards in over 60 counties from the mountains to the coast, and with grant making in every county of our state. Our mission is to inspire philanthropy and make North Carolinians make a lasting legacy in our state. We have a focus on rural North Carolina, which here we are in Sanford, and we have a voice at the local level. Our affiliate, the Lee County Community Foundation, serves as an integral part of that mission. Founded in 1997, the board has both encouraged the creation of endowed funds, which exist in perpetuity to support Lee County causes and organizations, and also made their own impactful community grants. Since the founding, this board has awarded 99 grants totaling more than $174,000 to nonprofit organizations serving the needs of Lee County members. The Community Grant Making Fund comes both from the board's unrestricted endowment, from gifts established by 4 generous donors, and had the foresight to establish funds in perpetuity for Lee County. The board's grant-making fund was established and is supported by caring people in Lee County who contribute annually during their fall campaign. You might have remembered the green envelope for Chairman's Challenge. Many of you might have received one of those. By purchasing a ticket here tonight, you're contributing to that endowment fund, and by contributions given throughout the year. In 2022, as a result of the continuing community support of the Lee County Community Foundation, the board was able to award more than $49,000 in grants to 14 organizations. In addition to the board-advised funds, there are also 28 agency-designated, donor-advised, and scholarship funds established by people in your community to support Lee County now and forever. Some of you may be here tonight. Thank you for also supporting local causes and needs. Collectively in 2022, these 28 funds awarded $250,000 in scholarships and grants in Lee County. So again, thank you for attending tonight to recognize these wonderful community-minded people. In doing so, you also support a larger cause, the well-being of your community through the Lee County Community Foundation grants. If you are working with the Lee County nonprofit community, one that's working with the church, a rescue squad, or a fire department, we want to remind you that our grant cycle application opens next Friday, March 24th, and closes at noon on April the 25th. And you can find the application on our website. The Lee County Community Foundation Board is your local philanthropy at its best. Thank you for being part of that and having us here this evening. And on your way out, grab the Lee County Community Foundation brochure. It is hot off the press, and you will want to take one home and read it tonight. Thank you so much for having us, and we are so glad to work with you all. Bob?
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you so much for coming to Lee County tonight. We're going to hear from next from 2 of our grant recipients. First, from Brick Capital Community Development, the Executive Director, Kerry Bayshaw. Many of you know Kerry. We're delighted to have him here. He has certainly filled the shoes of Kate. We're just so delighted to have you here tonight, Kerry. Welcome.
Thank you. As Bob mentioned, I'm the director of Brick Capital Community Development Corporation. We are one of the proud recipients of funding from the Lee County Community Foundation. So first of all, I want to say thank you for helping us serve the community. For those of you who aren't familiar with what our organization does, I'd like to sum it up, if I can, here in a nutshell. We are a nonprofit organization, over 30 years old, founded in 1990. We are a Brick Capital Community Development Corporation, or what's known as a CDC. CDCs are found all across the country. They serve community development needs in a number of ways. The ways that we serve the community with our organization is around housing related needs. So we do so really in three ways, I would say. First of all, we are a HUD approved housing counseling agency, which means that we help especially first time home buyers navigate the home buying process. We also help renters and property owners navigate what we know as prevention of foreclosure and eviction services, and we act as a mediator between what would be the landlord or what would be the mortgage company. So housing stability is what we consider those services as part of our housing counseling. We are also a property manager of what's known as supportive housing. By supportive housing, I mean that we do more than just, as a property manager, collect rent and handle maintenance issues. We actually provide a certain amount of case management to our tenants. Many of our tenants have gone through or are formerly homeless, are fleeing domestic violence, have mental or physical disabilities, and so there's a certain amount of case management services, supportive services that go along with the housing that we provide to our tenants. And then last of all, and that's where I want to kind of focus just a little bit longer on this topic, we are a developer of affordable housing. And so if you've heard me talk before, I always take the opportunity to talk about what is affordable housing. Everyone probably has a different idea of what affordable housing is. I'd like to clear the air on what that is. Hopefully everyone in this room lives in affordable housing. What I mean by that is this: HUD defines affordable housing as spending no more than 30% of your gross income on housing related costs. That's it. If housing is affordable to each and every one of you, if you spend no more than 30% of your gross income on housing related costs. It's pretty simple. Now, why affordable housing tends to lean more towards, when we talk about that, as low to moderate income households, is because the market in general does not cater to the low to moderate income families in our communities. There's three numbers I want to throw out at you here to kind of prove that point. Remember these numbers: 8, 46, and 133. 8, 46, 133. 8 stands for the fact that our area median income here in Lee County has grown by 8% from 2020 to 2022. Thanks to the efforts of Bob Joyce and Jimmy Randolph and the economic development that's happening here in Lee County, we think that that number is probably going to go up even more when HUD releases the 2023 numbers. It's great. 8% growth is great. It might even double another 8% over the next year. Now, let me get to the 46% number. 46 stands for 46% has what is the increase in home prices over the past 2 years. There's been a 46% increase in home prices over the past 2 years. Now, let me get to the even worse number, 133. Interest rates have increased by 133% over the last 2 years. So, back to that affordability factor that we're talking about here when it comes to families in Sanford. We serve typically families that are anywhere between 60% of their area median income all the way up to 150% of the area median income. There is a wide margin of families that cannot afford homes in Sanford and Lee County. And across the country, this is not a problem that it's only central here to where we live and work. It's across the country right now. So, last thing I want to share with you is, what is Brick Capital doing to ensure that families can have a home that is affordable to them? And again, using affordability based on that 30% number. We try to help families and meet their needs based on that 30% number, no matter what their income is. So what are we doing? First of all, there's 2 large projects that we are embarking on right now. We have some public funding support, thanks to the support of both the City of Sanford, Lee County and the state of North Carolina, we have total $8 million that is coming into our community that's going to serve 2 different projects here, and we're very excited about those projects. First of all, we are developing a 45 single-family home neighborhood right across from Horton Park on Washington Avenue, and it's also going to include a 16-unit supportive housing apartment complex over there as well, 45 houses. Also, we also have some money for some infrastructure and some neighborhood revitalization in the neighborhood that's known as Jackson Heights, all the way down Charlotte Avenue, past 11th Street. That area is known as Jackson Heights. We are going to be revitalizing that entire neighborhood by putting in some infrastructure for the existing homes there, while also building 20 additional new homes out there. Overall, in the past 3 years that I've served as executive director, Brick Capital has built a total of 19 new houses for families. The vast majority of those houses that we've sold to families have been under $200,000. And the reason why that number is so important is if you look at new construction that's happening right now, most of those homes are starting off at $300,000 plus. We are just trying to give families the opportunity to enjoy the American dream like many of us get to enjoy, and also enjoy affordable housing like I hope many of you in this room also get to enjoy as well. So I want to thank the Lee County Community Foundation for helping enhance our efforts in the community around the services that we're currently providing, and we appreciate the support of the foundation and the support of everyone in this room regarding our efforts. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kerry, for the great work that you do. Now I'd like to introduce Michael Basinger to talk about the Lee County Partnership for Children. I hope that was an economic development project call. Michael's here as a member of the board because the Lee County Partnership for Children staff is all down with the COVID virus. So use the microphone.
All right, thank you. I haven't made contact with them today, so I'm in the clear. So the Lee County Partnership for Children, let me just see your hands. Who has heard of the Lee County Partnership for Children? Okay, and that's what you've heard of. It was the Lee County Partnership for Children, and we merged a couple years ago with the coalition. Anybody ever heard of the coalition? There's one in here that's a very valuable person that spent her life about developing the coalition. Who is that? Carol Spivey, yes. That was such a strong program, and when she retired, the coalition and the partnership, we merged and changed our name to Partnership for Children and Families. So you've heard that name. I saw a lot of names. I'm on the board. I'm the chair of that board, and look, there's 20 brochures here of the programs that the Lee County the Partnership for Children and Families instruments. It's adolescent parenting program, barbers and beauticians. What in the world do you do with barbers and beauticians? You think about it. When people go in there to get their hair cut, there's a lot of conversation that goes on. This is a very good way, when they're properly trained, to communicate the health outreach programs and sharing information on a number of health issues that they can pass along to their clients. Child care resources, Circle of Parents, Kaleidoscope, Play and Learn, Literacy. Here goes some things you might recognize. Books at a Steal, Dolly Parton Imagination Library, Little Free Libraries, Reach Out and Read, Raising a Reader, North Carolina Pre-K, Parents as Teachers, Reducing the Risk, Sister Love and the Doula Program, Smart Start, Child Care Scholarship, Teen Outreach Program, and the one I want to talk about to you tonight is the Happy Bottoms Bank. Anybody ever heard of the Happy Bottoms Bank? Some of you have, but some of you may not recognize that. You know, what in the world is a Happy Bottoms Bank? Well, I'm going to explain to you. That was the grant recipient for last year, and I didn't really realize that. I thought that was a statewide or a national program. It is not. Brittany Garner, see, a lot of the funding that we get from the partnership, when you write grants, and it's either from the state or from funders, they streamline the funds. There's very few dollars that are allowed for administration and running of the program. There's just very few. So you have to allocate those funds exactly how they give them to you. So it handcuffs you in a lot of things you do. When you're reaching out and you're touching the needs of the less fortunate, you not only see the needs that you're going after, but you also see the needs that's right there next to them that you can't touch because you're limited on the restraints of the funding that you have. So Brittany Garner saw the need for diapers and feminine products to ladies that just didn't have access to those resources. And the statistics are pretty astounding. 1 in 3 families struggle to purchase diapers and wipes for their babies. 1 in 3. For every 3 family homes you pass, 1 is affected by diaper needs regardless of age, race, or income. Of those in need, 3 in 5 miss work or school due to the lack of sufficient diapers to send their children to child care. All of this is, we're talking about birth to 5 and all the surrounding things that go on in the family, trying to get people to keep a job, go to work, get a job, and keep a job. So you've got to have good child care, and you've got to have healthy people in the family. And they've got to have their basic needs met. 2,232,000 women and girls between the ages of 12 and 44 live in North Carolina. 1 in 5 of these live below the federal poverty line. In North Carolina, 63% of female students in public grades 7 through 12 attend Title I eligible schools. 1 in 4 miss class due to lack of access to feminine products. Feminine products are not a luxury, they're a necessity. How many have gotten diapers and products over the years? Distribution occurs once a month on the 3rd Thursday. On average, the Happy Bottoms Bank has around 75 pickups each month. Half are returning customers or clients, and the other half are new. So what it costs to operate this, now churches and other organizations run programs at their facilities and then send over the diapers and other products to create our bank. But it takes a net resource of about $15,000 to run just this one program. So this program is meeting the needs, and a lot of times in these nonprofits, if you chair them, you want to know how effective are you? What is your measurement tool? That's what we get with all these grant people that are sending us grant money. They want to know how effective are you in the people that you touch. Well, these are basic need resources that we're supplying, and we thank the Community Foundation for partnering with us and funding that whole program for the year. So thank you, the Community Foundation. I'm a part of, but I'm proud to be a part of it. And I'm proud to be the chair of the Partnership for Children, all the good work that it does for this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now it's time for our Man and Woman of the Year presentations to introduce our honoree for Woman of the Year. We are pleased to welcome Michael Gossett. Michael is a Georgia native and a graduate of the University of Georgia. He's also a law school grad and a tax school grad. That sends shivers down the spine of every businessman in this. If he's on your side, he's great. He and his wife, Catherine, live and work from Charleston. He loves to surf. And so in his bio, he says he officiated lacrosse matches and weddings. So I don't know what the parallel between lacrosse matches and weddings, although I can see some of those. My wife's looking at me from back there. He now works for the North Carolina Department of Revenue. Please welcome Michael Gossett.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know, he got me started off on the wrong foot, right? He said I work for the North Carolina Department of Revenue. I thought I saw a couple people running towards the door holding their wallets. So that's a little scary. You know, I really think it's amazing. You know, I was thinking this earlier, that there's a lot of people at home watching TV right now. And you folks are out here supporting this foundation, you know, just being wonderful people, and that's really incredible. Nancy, you look gorgeous tonight. Can we get a round of applause for our gorgeous Nancy? We'll see how I do on my speech. A lot of people in this world are afraid to look stupid. I can tell you this, Nancy Adams, she's not one of those people. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. And Nancy likes dancing on that line because she asked me, her son-in-law, to give this speech. Well, I was told that this is a roast and toast. I'm supposed to roast Nancy. I called you. Nancy, I called you. And we were at Costco. I'm with your daughter, and she wanted to buy something ridiculous. And I said, Nancy, talk her out of it. And you said, no, that's a great idea. You should buy that. You know what, Nancy? I just filed that away. I filed it away. And then Mr. Bassinger called me and said, hey, Nancy's crazy. She wants you to do the introduction. It's a roast and toast. And I think there's a rule in the mother-in-law, son-in-law handbook, and I think there's only one rule, and it says, do not ask your son-in-law to do a roast and toast. But yet, you walked right into it, so I love you. But, Michael asked me, he said, I'm going to take it easy on you, because he said, just tell us some funny stories about Nancy. And, when you're going to tell funny stories about someone, you got to call around, right? You got to, I'm calling friends all the way back in Mexico. But, the first person that I spoke to was Michelle, Nancy's daughter, and Michelle talked about what a wonderful dancer Nancy is. And I said, a wonderful, if we're talking about like a Happy Days dance marathon, dance till you drop, no one can beat her. She has endurance. She can go for days. But she looks like one of those blow-up things in front of a car lot that dances like this. It's not a thing of beauty, but I will say this. Nancy is fearless. She dances like no one's watching. Her sister Amy told me that Nancy was over-the-top generous. Sorry if I'm getting a little too close. Over-the-top generous when she was growing up. Said that when they were teenagers, they didn't have any money, so Nancy gave her 12 coupons for 1-hour massages. And, of course, Amy redeemed all of them. And she probably got about 24 hours of massages because she said all you had to do was get Nancy talking. And if you ever talk to Nancy, she never shuts up. So she would just go forever. Her sister Margie told me that when they were in Mexico, their mother used to pay them to pick snails out of the garden. And that Nancy was very sweet because Margie hated snails. So she would, when she'd see them, she'd point at them, and Nancy would pick them for her. And they'd get a bag. And then they would go to redeem their snails and get paid. She's a capitalist. So it wasn't hard for her to let's go get some money from Mom. But they'd go to redeem. But before they redeemed, she chased Margie around the garden with the snails, threatening to dump them on her head. That's not the end of the torture. She said that one time they were walking somewhere and there was water puddles, and Nancy runs out, splashes in a water puddle, just douses her. And that went when they were kids in Mexico. That was 2 years ago. So we know two things: that Nancy has always loved torturing Margie, and that she's still mischievous even in her latter years. So Nancy's the youngest of 5 girls, and she's ultra competitive growing up. Nancy's sister Judy said they used to do rhythmic gymnastics together, but there was a lot of calisthenics, and Judy said no matter how many calisthenics that she did, Nancy would do what she did plus one. Always. Just so she could win. So now that we're done, now that I'm done telling stories, I'll get back to telling you why Nancy's not scared to look stupid. And I know that sounds horrible, but it's not. There's a world-renowned Stanford psychologist that believes that there's two different mindsets when it comes to learning. There's a fixed mindset and there's a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe their ability it's basically set in stone. This is what I got when I was born. So basically when they try new things, if they aren't good at something immediately, they just think, these are the cards I'm dealt, there's just nothing I can do about this. That really limits your personal growth and experiences. For a growth mindset, those type of people, they don't mind if they're not good at something at first. They don't mind if they look stupid, because they believe that everyone can change and go through application and experience. The people with this type of mindset view the world as being full of opportunity. Nancy is a person with a growth mindset, which is why I say she doesn't mind looking stupid. I admire her approach to life because she's always jumped in with both feet into anything she does. She just goes at it. She's fearless, and it's awesome because she's like, I don't mind if I look bad at this because I can improve, I can do better. But the reason that there's a reason why I bring this up, and it's not because Nancy, worked for NASA. She helped Greg start and run a successful business. But it's because it's the way that she looks at the people around her. It affects the way she looks at the people around her, because she believes that for herself. She also believes it for everyone else. So it affects the way she deals with her community, the way she deals with her employees, the way she deals with her friends. If anyone ever says, I have an interest in this, I think I might be good at this, Nancy is like, woo-ha, let's do this. And it's amazing. And Nancy's an amazing person. I love her. So I just think it's incredible that she gave her this award. And thank you so much, Nancy. You're the best. I hope this wasn't even really a roast, but I love you.
Nancy, would like you to come up? Michael, you can stay.
Thank you, Dirk. It's now my time to sort of look stupid. I'm sorry. When I prepared this speech 3 years ago, okay, I thought it would be nice to sort of have like a teleprompter, something to help me along. And of course, well, there's really no place for a teleprompter here. I'm a little nervous. I'm not really a good public speaker. I'm going to jump in here with my 2 feet and sort of look like you described. I don't practice a whole lot at public speaking, so this is a first for many, many, many years. When I woke up this morning, I thought I should practice this speech, or I could just drink a whole lot. And I went ahead and I tried practicing the speech, and every time I read through the speech that I prepared 3 years ago, I thought, oh, this is terrible. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote this. Everything's different, everything's changed. So I gave up, and I'm just gonna sort of wing it a little bit. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna introduce the people that are sitting at my table. First, I've got Ellen. Ellen is my lifelong friend. She's been my friend for 40 years. We started at MITRE together. I think she started 3 days after I did, but the first day that she started there, we became fast friends. We've lived in different cities for most of our lives, but yet we've remained fast, steady, wonderful friends. And Ellen, thank you for coming down from DC and being here. Next, I have Cleta. Cleta, I've known Cleta for 20 years. She's just the most lovely person you've ever hoped to meet. Tom and Renee brought Cleta here for me. I appreciate that more than anything. Tom and Cleta have been friends. They've been co-workers. We've been, we have business arrangements with them. They've been friends. We've been on boards together. Anyhow, we go back a ways. But Cleta is sort of the glue for all of us. Then I have Dirk. Well, he said his piece. I don't need to say anything more about Dirk. His name is Michael. His nickname is Dirk. Nobody knows what the hell to call him. It's either Michael or Dirk. It's like, my sisters always say, what should we call him? It's like, whatever you feel like calling him. He'll respond to anything. Then I have my lovely, beautiful daughter, Michelle, and her husband, Kevin, who graced me with my best gift I've ever had in my whole entire life. Okay, my granddaughter, Amelia, last November. Nobody could ever ask for a better gift than that. They've been wonderful. She's in my speech in a later part of the speech. And then, of course, we have Greg. I met Greg when I was 17 years old, okay? And, we worked at a grocery store, of course, and he had terribly different schedules than I did. So I was pretty interested in him, so I would arrive at all hours of the night, and I would hunt him down in the aisles, hunt him down in the store, chase him around the aisles, to have a few words with him. Here we are, almost 40 years later, and I am still hunting him down in the store, chasing him down the aisles. Not much has changed. Okay, so I'm gonna kick off with a little story. Okay, this story happened, well, when I wrote this, it happened about a year and a half ago, but now it's really about 4.5 years ago. So it's a little dated, but a friend of mine was having a baby shower, and the baby shower happened to fall on my birthday. And I really, really wanted to go to this baby shower, but I didn't really want to go to the baby shower for a long amount of time. So I made my plans really carefully. I said, okay, I'm going to get to this baby shower in the last 10 minutes of the baby shower. I'm going to barge in, give them their gift, and leave. It's my birthday. I'm going to go home and spend time with my family. And so I got there, and I saw a few cars leaving, and I thought, oh, great, perfect timing, perfect timing. And so I left my phone in my car, the groceries were in my car, everything was there. And I went in, and I was greeted by Daniel, and Daniel said, oh, I am so surprised to see you here. And I looked at him and I said, I wouldn't miss this for anything in the world. But I did think it was sort of strange because everybody was in the church, okay? And I went and I sat down with his wife who was about to have a baby. And I was talking to Ruth, and I gave her the baby present and stuff, and the next thing I know, the preacher starts speaking, and he says, I want to introduce Daniel. He is our guest speaker tonight, and Daniel, you are so well known for your long sermons. Please don't disappoint us tonight. And I'm sitting here going, uh-oh, I'm sitting here in the middle of an aisle with no really good way out, surrounded by people from Broadway, whom I know very well, and I'm not really sure what to do. I don't have a phone, so I can't call my family and say, hey, guess what? You guys are waiting for me. I'm not going to be there because I have somebody about to give a long sermon. Well, Daniel did not disappoint. He gave a very long sermon, approaching 2 hours, okay? So I'm going to just let you know, this story I'm going to disappoint you guys because I'm going to give you a very short story. And it was really actually pretty wonderful, other than the fact that everybody was waiting for me and I was sitting there. But I want everybody to try a sort of an interesting exercise. I want you to try to find one word, just one word that describes your life or your life's achievements or something about you. And it's actually a very interesting exercise. I toyed with words like privileged and charmed, and I had to do away with these words because the word privileged sort of implies that you have been given something in your life. And I was privileged. I was privileged to be born into an amazingly great family, a family that gave me a ironclad work ethic, a great moral compass, and emphasized the importance of education. All of these were wonderful things. The rest of the path was a lot of hard work and a lot of making good choices, et cetera. And there were a lot of good choices, but there were some questionable ones as well. But anyhow, so I did I sort of said, privilege is probably not a good word to describe my life, other than the fact that I was born to such a great family. And charmed implies sort of an easy life. So I finally came up with one word that I think that does describe my life. Interesting. Okay. My life was interesting. It has been interesting, and it continues to be interesting. I always in my life have aspired, and still do occasionally aspire to, a simple, sort of average life. But most of you know the saying, men make plans, God laughs. Sometimes we confuse what we want and what we need. I got what I needed: tough challenges, difficult choices, hard and challenging jobs. The simple life that I aspired to really would never have defined me. It wouldn't have gotten any close. But because I had a lot of what I needed in my life, I would say that my life is charmed. Okay, but it wasn't easy. There's a quote that speaks to me: strong women aren't simply born. They are made by the storms they walk through. We should all be fortunate enough to weather some great storms and be shaped by them. I know I was. So, going forward, some people that know me consider me a trailblazer. I am in a way, but mostly I came about it honestly, and Michelle, please do not roll your eyes at this, okay? My grandfather was a trailblazer. He brought the first avocado from Mexico to California on horseback. He was a true trailblazer, and every time I tell the story, she's like, oh, Mom, stop. But it's true. It is a true story. My father also was a trailblazer. Years and years ago in Mexico, they did not allow people to be dual citizens. You chose a citizenship. You were either a Mexican citizen or you were an American citizen, and there was no choice. My father was born in Mexico, and he had done his military service for Mexico, but he also fought for the United States in World War II. So when it came time to renounce his citizenship, he went to court and he fought to keep both. And him and one other person actually retained the right to maintain dual citizenships, the first two people in the history of Mexico to be able to do that. One other story about my father, it's about 65 years ago in Mexico, they passed a law and they said, any single person that gets 3 traffic tickets will lose their driver's licenses for good. Well, my father, being the trailblazer he was, decided to fight corruption in Mexico and not bribe cops. Everybody bribes cops in Mexico. That's just, it was true back then, and it's still true today. And so, about 2 years after this law was passed, my dad got his 3rd traffic ticket. Every headline in every newspaper in all of Mexico, and maybe, I do tend to exaggerate a little bit, but anyhow, that's the story I'm telling, okay? All of the headlines said, Thomas Andrew Schmidt, first man in the history of the country to lose his license permanently. Okay? So, my dad had a business, he had a bunch of kids, he sort of needed to drive a little bit, so he had to change his name to get his license back. Okay, so My dad, the trailblazer. My dad encouraged a high degree of competition amongst us. There were 6 of us, six children. And so what he did was he pushed us all to overachieve. He was a funny man. He derided us for very bad grades. Like if we came home with an A minus, it was something that he talked to us about. He was very humorous in his approach, but he was showing us that he expected excellence in everything that we did in every part of our lives. I know I've made him proud. That has been one of my life's biggest rewards. I lost my dad last year. It's very hard. I still miss him. He was one of the guiding lights in my life. Anyhow, I am married to an amazing man. Most of you know him, Greg. He pushes me to excel in every area of my life, some that don't even come so easily. In fact, I'm probably here partly due to Greg and his encouragement of me branching out and doing stuff that I'm not normally, that I normally wouldn't do. He also allows me a lot of freedom. He allows me to explore things and continue to grow. He's my rock star. He's also, he's a sort of a ballast for me, okay? I might go a little bit wild if it wasn't for him. He gave me, I would dance forever and no one would be able to stop me. He gave me 2 amazing children. Most of you have had the privilege of meeting Michelle. She was born profoundly deaf and has been a trailblazer herself. She was the first child, I'm going to say in the world, but I will say in this country, to receive a 22-channel cochlear implant without being totally deaf. So when she received her implant, the FDA had approved the cochlear implant for children that were totally deaf. They had 0 hearing. She was profoundly deaf, meaning she had a little bit of hearing left. And so it was not approved for her. And we went ahead and did the surgery, and here she is. She's an example of people taking chances, all right? She also wore a hearing aid in the other ear, which was not recommended. It was not recommended at all. In fact, they frowned on it. They thought it was a big mistake. But based on her amazing progress, being one of the more stellar examples of achievement for a deaf child, it became the norm. All of the people that worked with her at the Houston School for Deaf Children actually became proponents of wearing a hearing aid on the other ear when you were implanted. So, Michelle, you blazed the trail whether you know it or not, okay? Both of my daughters, okay, well, I've only talked about one of them, but I have 2 daughters, okay? My other daughter, Catherine, is married to Michael. Both of them married well. They're married to hardworking, well-educated men. Michelle's here with her lovely husband, Kevin. Catherine is not, but she's here in spirit with Michael, okay? Catherine, I prepared this speech 3 years ago, and at the time, Catherine was becoming an ear, nose, and throat doctor, in part to become, to be able to do cochlear implants on profoundly deaf children, which, is sort of the legacy. Since then, she's changed her tune. She thinks cochlear implant surgery is a little bit too simple. And so now she wants to do facial plastic. She wants to reconstruct people's faces after accidents or cancers. So she's also an amazing person. I think she'll be a trailblazer herself. So back to the trailblazing spirit that runs in our blood. This impulse goes all the way back to my childhood. Back in the days when I was a child, as Michael mentioned, I'm the youngest of 5 girls. Okay, then I have a little brother, but I'm the youngest of 5 girls. We also didn't have a whole lot of money, and so when I got clothes, they were passed down from my oldest sister to, the next one, the next one, the next one, and finally to me, all right? And you can imagine there's a lot of wear and tear when you're, passing down clothes for that many kids. I I was the youngest, but I also was the biggest and the tallest of all. And when the clothes finally got to me, they were full of holes. Sometimes they had patches. Sometimes my mom had to, you know, put little tassels or ribbons or something at the bottom of the pants so they wouldn't look like puddle jumpers. But flash forward to today, and all these young kids are paying exorbitant amounts of money for the stuff that I was getting for free all these years ago, full of holes. I, of course, deride them on it because I still think it's pretty funny. In case you're wondering, I'm not much of a fashionista today. Susan, of course, knows this. Susan was kind enough to help me pick out dresses for Michelle's wedding, one of which I'm wearing. But I'm not much of a fashionista today, but I have 2 daughters, 4 sisters, and countless friends that try to stop me from setting any new fashion trends. Seriously, I look at the people in this room today, I love what I see. I see a community of people who care and contribute to our society in the ways that make it better for everybody. The contribution of time, ideas, energy, and money in this room alone has changed countless lives in tremendous ways. And so I proudly stand in front of the people in this room and accept this award for myself, and for the last 3 years, of course, but also for each and every one of you who make this community great. Thank you for the honor and giving me a community that inspires me to do my very best every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy. I've introduced Kirk Bradley a number of times, almost always in a business context. So I know, and I know that many of you know him as one of the spark plugs of our community. He was the author of the Sanford Area Growth Alliance, and he got us kicked off. And I think when our community writes the history of this time, Kirk's name will be all over that. He does a lot for this community other than his business. And I just want to mention 2 of those. The Lee Education Foundation, which he was certainly a driver behind and continues to be a driver in helping our children achieve their best and helping our teachers be better professionals and be well paid. And the Ingram YMCA, which is another one of his passions. And he's also a Georgia grad, so this is the first night I remember ever having to introduce 2 Georgia grads. So please welcome Kirk Bradley.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, Michael, they're lucky to have not only 2 Georgia grads, but 2 Terry College grads and current national champions. So go Dogs. But this red is not for Georgia tonight. It is for NC State and my buddy Donnie. So I want to read a few things off for you and then offer a few comments. And first and foremost, Donnie Odom's commitment to his family, church, and community as a parent in all he does. He was born to parents Norman and Maxine Oldham Matthews, and Donnie lived in Chatham County for a few years before he moved to Lee County, and lucky us that he did. As a young child, and he's been a resident ever since. Donnie played baseball for Sanford Central High School and attended NC State University, go Wolfpack, until family duty called. His father Norman summoned him back to Sanford to work full-time, assuming responsibility of the estimating for what was then Sanford Grading. In 1975, Donnie started dating Susan Register, and they married in 1980. Harry Register, Susan's father, told Susan on multiple occasions that he could not have handpicked a better husband for her. Well, that's a testament in and of itself. Well done. Donnie and Susan had 2 children who join us here tonight with their spouses, Richard Odom, who's married to Jennifer, and Jennifer Williams, who is married to Trey. Donnie now has 4 grandchildren, Evelyn and Norman Odom, and Ann Blakely and Harry Williams. And I'll just say, you young ladies are the best behaved grandchildren I've ever seen. Thank you. Well done. So, Donnie attends First Baptist Church, where he serves as a deacon. He's also served on the Finance Committee, which is and many other committees over there to keep that great church going. His existing board positions include NC 811 Board and the Sanford Area Growth Alliance, for which he is a past chairman, and more on that in a minute. Previous boards on which Donnie has served include the Sanford and Lee County Boys and Girls Club Board, Research Triangle Regional Partnership Board, Lee County Education Foundation Board, Local First Bank Board, and a Central Carolina Community College trustee. You see some themes there, not only education, economic development, but also public service and the theme of the Lee County Community Foundation, which is dedicated to making a difference in Lee County. So all of these sort of elements take care of what Donnie does in his business, personal, and civic life. Donnie's earned many accolades for his leadership and service. Most notably, he received the Boy Scouts of America Occoneechee Council Distinguished Citizens Award, and he is also Tar Heel League's Hall of Honor recipient for baseball. Before I bring Donnie up, I would like to say a few things and maybe correct a little bit of the record and the kindness that Bob said to me. And in the early 2000s, a guy named Jim Collins wrote a book called Good to Great. And a lot of what's happened here in Sanford and Lee County is based on that book, because a lot of us read that book. And one of the key tenets in that is that you need a level 5 leader. And there's a description of that, and it's not Jack Welch or Jamie Dimon, who's CEO of J.P. Morgan, who are people with very large egos. There was a person who was the chairman of the brand Kleenex, and Abraham Lincoln was another. And so these people tended to have in there a humility but effectiveness that was unique, and that's what Donnie Odom has to me. We would have no economic development if it wasn't for Donnie, because we went through a very critical period of time before SAGA was formed, and Donnie was on the task force and served as our first chairman, but he also stepped up because our economic developer left, and he was the full-time non-paid economic developer and the chairman of the EDC at the time, and helped the transition, and then was the natural person to step in as the chairman of SAGA. So we probably wouldn't have a Mayor Mann. We probably wouldn't have a Mayor Whitehouse Salmon. We wouldn't have Aldentis and Pfizer and all the great things that have happened to our community that will allow it to grow and have more economic resources for all of those who are less deserving without Donnie. So Donnie's my friend. I'm not able to tell a lot of funny things. We have a mutually assured destruction pact, so we didn't do that. But let me just close in saying that we are so lucky that you moved to Lee County, Donnie, and we're all lucky to call you our friend. So thank you. Congratulations.
Well, Nancy, the best way not to be concerned about the speech you prepared, don't prepare one. So I can promise you that I'm not disappointed about what I've written, because I left that in the car. But Kurt, thank you. There's a lot of folks that have done a lot of things in Lee County, and a lot of them are in this room. I don't know of anybody that's done more for this community than Kirk Bradley has, and I appreciate him stretching things and gives me some credit. There's the main thing I wanted to do tonight is thank the people that make things like this possible. Mom is here, and she told me she was either, I can't remember, she's either 35 or born in 1935. I'm not sure which one. Oh, okay. All right, here you go. But unfortunately, we lost my dad long time ago, 30-some years ago, I guess. But Mom remarried, had a great husband, and Gilbert Matthews. We lost him earlier this year. But anyway, I'm glad Mom's able to be here at 35. So, had my son Richard and his wife Jennifer here. My son-in-law Trey and Jennifer are here. And those two well-behaved grandkids, Evelyn and AB. AB's with sister-in-law. And Norman, Jennifer and Richard's son, is 5, and he has fever, so he's not here tonight. And Harry is 2, and I think he had a date. That's why he's not here tonight. So anyway, thank you to all those. And I'm gonna come back to Sue later. At this table, some of a lot of the management at Sanford Contractors is there. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law, Jay and Clara, and Pastor Sam Roach is from First Baptist. And I noticed when I came in that George and Hazel Perkins were on the board. And I thought maybe some of the guys from my Sunday school class were coming, because George is in my Sunday school class. But you know, everybody has different numbers of families, and you know, I've got 3. Sue will make a joke of this, but my biological family is at this table, my work family, and then church family. And it takes kind of all of it, you know, to make things work. And then a bigger community family. So it's a good night, you know. It's been a long time. I was kind of hoping that COVID had gotten me out of this, but it didn't. And I do want to say, you know, I'm not silly. I know the reasons that these things are given out is because of what you do, and I kind of mean what you support in the community. And Barbara Angel has worked with me for how long? 30. Yeah. And probably every check we have decided to write, she either wrote it or approved it. So thank you. And so there's a lot of things that you can do, but you can't do anything without support behind you. And that table is a good table of support. And my wife, you know, Kurt was right, 1975, I think. And I am sure we were married in 1980 because Sue knew that I would have a hard time remembering that, so she made sure it was an even year. And so I can remember how many years it was. But I'm not gonna tell that one. But thank you for all the stuff you have put up with all these years, and thank you to the family, work family, church family, and I'm gonna do my part so you guys can go home. So, thank you. Bye.
This has been a great night. Thank you all so much for coming. We're going to ask our award winners and their families to please stay behind for some pictures, please. And I'd like to ask you all, please, for one more round of applause for our Man and Woman of the Year, Nancy Adams. Thank you very much for a good night. Take care. Drive safely.
Hello, I'm Nancy Adams, and they've awarded me the Woman of the Year. I was chosen in 2020, and now we are in 2023. It's actually really nice to finally get the accolades and get the award, and so now it's over. It's a very special award. I feel like I deserve it, but I also feel like every single person that was sitting in this room today deserved it equally. We all are part of a community. We all are giving. We all spend a lot of time and energy making our community a wonderful place to live in, and I feel proud to be a part of that effort. Thank you.
So the question is, how do I feel about being Man of the Year? And it's an honor, but it really is. I'm just the recipient for a lot of hard work that my family and the folks at Sanford Contractors have done. So I'm just lucky enough to be the one that got the award, but it's for all the folks that work. So thank you.